relationship between molecular formula and empirical formula. Relationship between molecular formula and empirical formula. Now, what is relationship? Molecular formula is equal to molecular formula of compound is equal to n multiplied by empirical formula. So there is a simple relationship between molecular formula and empirical formula of compound. Molecular formula of compound is equal to n into empirical formula. Now here n is always whole number. N is always a whole number. Now what is then n? N is equal to molar mass. N is equal to molar mass of compound. Molar mass of compound divided by empirical formula mass. Divided by empirical formula mass. Now, so from in this relation, molar mass of compound already known to us. How do it is calculated? It is the sum of atomic mass of all atoms present in molecule. That is molar mass. But how to calculate empirical formula mass? Empirical formula mass is the mass of all atoms present in empirical formula. And so empirical formula mass. Empirical formula mass. Empirical formula mass. So what is empirical formula mass? The sum of all atoms, the sum of atomic mass. The sum of atomic mass of all atoms. The sum of atomic mass of all atoms present in empirical formula. Present in empirical formula. So that is empirical formula mass. And so ratio of molar mass to empirical formula mass, that gives the value of n. Now then let us consider some example. So if molar mass, empirical formula mass is known to us, if empirical formula is known to us, then molar formula or molecular formula of compound can be calculated. For example, now already explained. So molecular mass of glucose, molecular mass or molar mass of glucose is equal to 180. Now empirical formula of glucose. Empirical formula of glucose, that is equal to CH2. Now already we know that what is actually empirical formula. Empirical formula, it shows the smallest ratio of different atoms present in molecule. So molecular formula of glucose is C6H12O6. Now the smallest ratio of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen atoms, it is CH2O. and thus empirical formula of glucose, it is CH2O. Now then, what is molar mass? Molar mass, it is 180. What is empirical formula mass? So you can calculate empirical formula mass. Now empirical formula mass. Empirical formula mass of glucose. Empirical formula mass of glucose. So empirical formula is CH2, and so which is equal to carbon atomic mass is 12, hydrogen atomic mass is 1, but there are 2 atoms, so 2 plus 2 plus 16, sorry 12 plus 2 14 plus 16, that is 30. So empirical formula mass of glucose is 30, and thus remember N is equal to molar mass of glucose, that is 180, upon empirical formula mass of glucose, that is 30, and that is equal to 6. And so 6 is the value of N for glucose, and thus remember what is how to calculate molecular formula. So molecular formula is equal to N into empirical formula. N into empirical formula. And thus, so you can easily calculate. So here value of N is 6. What is empirical formula? Empirical formula is CH2O. And thus remember, the empirical molecular formula is C6, then H12O6. So this is the molecular formula of glucose, and thus knowing molar mass, empirical formula mass, you calculate value of N. From N you can calculate molecular formula, and so molecular formula is equal to N into empirical formula. So this is relationship between molecular formula and empirical formula. Now then let us discuss some new article that is related to laws of chemical combination. So laws of chemical combinations. Laws of chemical combinations. Now what are laws of chemical combination? Actually, remember there are 2 types of analysis for the balanced chemical reaction. So scientists analyze a given chemical reaction by qualitatively and quantitatively, and they made some generalizations on the basis of qualitative and quantitative study of balanced chemical reaction. And thus remember, the generalizations made on the basis of qualitative and quantitative analysis of chemical reaction, that is laws of chemical combination. So what are laws of chemical combination? What is the concept of laws of chemical combination? Remember the generalizations made on the basis of qualitative and quantitative, on the basis of qualitative and quantitative study of chemical reaction. So generalizations made on the basis of qualitative and quantitative study of chemical reaction are laws of chemical combination. Laws of chemical combinations. And so some law related to mass, that is quantitative study, and some law they are independent from the mass, that is qualitative study. And thus generalizations on the basis of qualitative and quantitative study of chemical reaction, that is laws of chemical combination. Now let us study the first, or let us discuss the first law, that is law of conservation of mass. Now, what is law of conservation of mass? Law of conservation of mass. Law of conservation. Law of conservation of mass. It means, no doubt, this law is related to quantitative study of chemical reaction because it related to mass, and thus this law based on quantitative study of chemical reaction. And now then, what is the statement of law of conservation of mass? What is statement of law of conservation of mass? And thus remember, this law of conservation of mass can be explained, it can be stated by two ways. Now, you know that during reaction, some reactant completely react. Their masses completely react. When they completely react, they convert it into completely into product. And thus remember the first case, when reactants completely react. When reactant completely react by mass, completely react by mass, and thus remember during reaction, when different reactant, when they are completely react during reaction, then first statement of law of conservation of mass, remember, when reactants completely react by mass, then the total mass of reactant, is equal to total mass of product, is equal to total mass of product. But what is basic condition? The given mass of reactant must completely react, and so total mass of reactants is equal to total mass of product. And thus you can also say that during, remember, mass cannot created nor destroyed during chemical reaction. Thus mass neither created nor destroyed. Mass neither created nor destroyed during chemical reaction or during physical or chemical reaction, physical or chemical change, any. So this law of conservation of mass is applicable for physical change as well as chemical change, and thus when reactants are completely converted into product, then you can say that total mass of reactants is equal to the total mass of product. It means mass is neither created nor destroyed during a physical or chemical change. But what is basic condition? Mass of reactant taken, that is completely reacted. This is the basic condition. Now let us consider then some example. Now you know that here formation of water takes place on the basis of 2H2 gas plus O2 gas, it gives 2H2O liquid. 2H2O liquid. So this is one of the balanced chemical reaction. Now here you know that here number of moles of hydrogen is 2 mole hydrogen, number of moles of oxygen is 1, it means 1 mole oxygen, and number of moles of water, they are 2. And thus remember, if 2 mole hydrogen, now by mass 2 mole hydrogen, it means 4 gram, because 2 gram hydrogen means 1 mole, then 2 mole corresponds to 4 gram. Now 1 mole oxygen, it means 32 gram. And thus remember, for complete reaction with 32 gram oxygen, yes, what is the quantity of hydrogen required? That is 4 gram. And thus remember, when 4 gram hydrogen, it is allowed to react with 32 gram oxygen in a suitable conditions, in a suitable condition of given reaction, then it is observed that this 4 gram hydrogen completely react with 32 gram oxygen. So if we take 4 gram hydrogen, it completely react with 32 gram oxygen, and there is a formation of 36 gram water. And thus remember, in this reaction, both reactants are completely react. It means their complete mass is converted into product. Then you can say that 4 plus 32, that is equal to 36. And thus 36 gram corresponds to 36 gram. And thus remember, as reactants are completely reacted, you can say that total mass of reactant is equal to total mass of product. But the basic condition is the given mass must completely react. Remember. So this is the first statement of law of conservation of mass. Now then consider the second condition. During reaction, if one or more reactant, remember, are not completely react with another reactant completely by mass, it means, for example, you know that this is again reaction, 2H2 plus O2, it gives 2H2O. Now remember, in this reaction, you know that here 4 gram of hydrogen react with 32 gram of oxygen for the complete reaction. But instead of 4 gram hydrogen, suppose instead of 4 gram, we required here 4 gram hydrogen. But if we take 5 gram of hydrogen here, instead of 4 gram, if we take 5 gram of hydrogen, and here quantity of oxygen is 32. And now then remember, if reaction is carried out between 5 gram of hydrogen and 32 gram of oxygen instead of 4 gram hydrogen and 32 gram of oxygen, then experimentally it is observed that, remember, out of 5 gram of hydrogen, only 4 gram of hydrogen react with 32 gram of oxygen, and then there is a formation of 36 gram of water. Now out of 5 gram, 4 gram react with oxygen, but 1 gram hydrogen left behind in the form of unreacted form. And thus remember, here 1 gram hydrogen left behind. And thus you can say that total mass of reactant is equal to total mass of product plus mass of unreacted reactant. And so you can say that 5 plus 32, that is 37. So 37 gram corresponds to 36 gram plus 1 gram. Now what is this 37 gram? Total mass of reactant. Total mass of reactant. Now total mass of reactant, it is equal to total mass of product. So it is equal to total mass of product plus what is this 1 gram? So 1 gram is the hydrogen remains behind in unreacted form, and thus total mass of reactant is equal to total mass of product plus mass of unreacted reactant. Mass of unreacted reactant. And thus this law of conservation of mass can also be stated that, remember, what is second condition? If reactants do not completely react by mass, then you can say that total mass of reactant is equal to total mass of product plus mass of unreacted reactant. So these are the conditions for law of conservation of mass. Now, what is the limitation of law of conservation of mass? Limitations What are the limitations of law of conservation of mass? Limitations of law of conservation of mass. And thus remember, when you say that total mass of reactant is equal to total mass of product, the limitation is mass of reactant completely react. First limitation, mass of reactant, given mass of reactant completely react. This is the first condition, limitation. It means law of conservation of mass is applicable when the mass of reactant taken, it is completely react during reaction. And second, there is no release of large amount of energy. No release of large amount of energy. You know that in case of exothermic reaction, energy is given by the system to surrounding. It means during reaction, energy is evolved, heat energy is evolved. And you know that energy cannot be created nor destroyed, but mass and energies are interconvertible. And thus remember, during that exothermic reaction, that released energy, it comes from the loss in mass of the reactant. And that loss in mass of the reactant is converted into product according to Einstein's equation, E is equal to mc square. Here m is that loss in mass into loss in mass of reactant into energy, and thus E is equal to mc square. Now, but you know that in case of generally ordinary chemical reactions, remember loss in mass, it is very less. And thus remember, you can apply this law of conservation of mass. But in case of nuclear reactions like nuclear fission, remember large amount of energy is given to the surrounding due to the loss in mass of the reactant. And thus remember, as there is a more loss in mass of the reactant, you cannot say that total mass of reactant is equal to total mass of product. And thus remember, law of conservation of mass, law of conservation of mass is modified, it is modified as the sum of mass and energy, or the total mass and energy during reaction remains unchanged. Mass and energy during reaction, sum of mass and energy during reaction remains unchanged. And thus remember, because during nuclear reaction, some mass of reactant is converted into product. So large amount of energy released due to the loss in mass. And thus for law of conservation of mass in case of nuclear reaction can be stated as the sum of mass and energy during reaction remains unchanged. So this is modified form of law of conservation of mass in case of nuclear reactions. And thus the basic limitation is law of conservation of mass is applicable only for ordinary chemical reactions where the heat released, it is very negligible. So this is law of conservation of mass. Then the second law, that is law of constant proportion. Law of constant proportion, or it is law of definite composition. law of constant proportion or law of definite composition. Now again this law related to quantitative study of chemical reaction. Now remember, law of constant proportion. Now according to this law of constant proportion or law of definite proportion, remember, any pure chemical compound, so this law is the outcome of quantitative study of chemical reaction. So according to this law of constant proportion, any 100% pure compound always consists any pure chemical compound, 100% pure chemical compound always consists same element. It always consists same element combined together in same definite proportion. Definite proportion by mass, irrespective of its source, or method of preparation, Now, what is law of constant proportion or law of definite proportion? So, any 100% pure, it means this law is applicable when the compound is 100% pure. Now, any 100% pure compound always consists same element combined together in same definite proportion by mass, irrespective of its source or method of preparation. You know that compound is formed by the union of at least two or more atoms of different element, and when these atoms of different element combine, always remember they combine with their fixed mass. And thus remember, according to law of constant proportion, any pure compound always consists same element combined together in same definite proportion by mass. That nature of element and the nature of element and percentage of element in given compound is independent from the method of preparation of compound, as well as it is independent from the source from which that compound is obtained. And now then let us consider some example. Now let us consider some example. Now you know that water is obtained from different sources. So what are the different sources of water? Like first source of water, that is rain. Then second source of water, that is river. Third source of water, that is well. Fourth source of water, that is sea. You know that water is obtained from different sources. Now if samples of water obtained from different source, obtained from different source. So samples of water obtained from different source. So these sources are 100% pure. So if all the samples of water from rain, river, well and sea, so if that samples are 100% pure, then it is observed that any sample of water, so any sample of water consists two elements, hydrogen and oxygen. It means every sample of water, if it is analyzed, remember, qualitatively, then it is observed that every sample of that pure water consists only two elements, that is hydrogen and oxygen. And every 18 gram water consists every 18 gram water consists 2 gram hydrogen and 16 gram oxygen. And thus remember, so every 18 gram of water, remember, 18 gram of water from rain, 18 gram of water from river, 18 gram of water from well and 18 gram of water from sea. You remember, if all the four samples of water they are 100% pure, then it is observed that if we carry the electrolysis of water, then it is observed that if we carry the electrolysis of the all four samples of water, then remember, at cathode hydrogen is obtained, at anode oxygen is obtained, and thus remember, when you carry the electrolysis of water, then we obtain only two elements, that is hydrogen and oxygen, hydrogen at cathode and oxygen at anode. And what is the ratio of by mass? It is observed that 18 gram of water, when it is electrolyzed, it gives 2 gram of hydrogen at cathode and 16 gram of oxygen at anode. And thus remember, every pure sample of water consists only two elements, that is hydrogen and oxygen, and their mass proportion is also same. That is 18 gram of water consists 2 gram of hydrogen and 16 gram oxygen, and so ratio of their mass is 2:16, that is 1:8. So what is the ratio by mass of hydrogen and oxygen? It is always 1:8. Remember, in case of any pure sample of water. Now then let us consider some second example, different example. Now you know that copper oxide, it can be obtained by the combustion of copper. And so remember, copper oxide can be obtained, it can be obtained by number one, the combustion of copper,